how to kind of share it.
Okay, so.
Oh, all right. Well,
How you doing?
I have to hang up.
Good. I'm David. I'm your guide.
All right. We'll call you back. I love you.
Sorry
Go to
I'm
bed.
late.
Goodbye.
It's unacceptable, David.
But never be late.
Oh, that's
You know, back in the 1800s,
Front of my house
most
is in
people
shell.
didn't have watches or timepieces. So if you had a clock in your town, you were pretty sophisticated. And during the time of the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was the port of entry of those first pioneers that were arriving in Israel, who would literally begin to work the land and create the agricultural base that would be necessary.
Yeah, I take them, you believe.
Here in Jaffa, we have 25 different levels of different civilizations that existed one on top of the other, not at the same time. Points there were, and maybe keep this in mind throughout our whole visit throughout all of Israel, that Israel always was that meeting point. Renovated or in the process of being renovated or regentrified Jaffa. When you look at the population of Tel Aviv, and we talk about an Arab population, about 98% of the people living in Tel Aviv itself. So stay with each other, and when we get to the stairs, please hold on to the rail, especially after a rain. The limestone gets slippery. You may notice over here we have what looks like Napoleon. That's because Napoleon did attack the city in 1799, but was not successful in holding on. Going down stairs that are going to take us to the fort. Please, there's a rail here on both sides. David. You don't have to learn a new name. And David is going to be guiding us through the site, and I think
officially welcome you to the Margaret Morse welcome dinner, and I hope everybody had a wonderful day today.
Now everyone's sitting down.
Donald.
Okay, friends, fatigue, please.
That you're seeing here is 2,000 years old. What you're going to be sitting on in the theater, though, was
Nice level seats.
Sailboat.
The best way to get down to the next level is on the stairs, not on the seats.
Right.
And you don't all we have a number of different performers who come here, but the theater itself, at least the base of the theater, not the seats themselves, is the original theater that was built 2,000 years ago when King Herod built the city. You're going to be seeing a film on King Herod and who he was, but let me just give you a little bit of the background of both the theater and the theaters were invented by the Greeks back in the 11th century BCE. They established theaters in Olympus. In the 8th century BCE, they collapsed. They were made out of wood originally. And from then on, columns were all the same. The capitals that were different. The Ionic, right? The scroll that is open on top of a plate. The Doric, which was a solid, massive piece of stone. And the Corinthian. This was a good way to get away from, first of all, the cold in the wintertime and come down here and relax. It's also a good way to get away from all those Jews because in person you had the priest breathing down his neck all the time. This is interesting that the first time it was actually used as an amphitheater with gladiators bloodying each other was during the Byzantine. What I'm telling you is that when the Romans converted to Christianity, they started using this as a place where gladiators fought. And you were always taught that the biggest problem that the Christians faced was the fact that they were facing amphitheaters and that they would have stopped it as soon as understand language. You only saw more soldiers with their boots and whips in hand, screaming at you. And when you got in here, they've separated the men from the women. Now imagine if you were lucky enough to find your wife, your husband, or you found a new love after the war, and you're trying to repair your lives. They're not going to want you to be together, not in this camp, because if you are, you cohabitate, you're going to end up having children, or the possibility of having children. Those children are in British territory here, and they should automatically get British passports. and go free. So they don't want that to happen, so they're going to separate you. You're going to come into this absorption center. Yesterday, we talked about absorption centers today in Israel and how Israel lays out a red carpet.
Okay, Saturday morning breakfast at the Dan Carmel Hotel in Haifa.
I think it's quiche.
That's the Yemeni bread we're told we have to have.
What we found here in terms of gates are biblically oriented because is the rules, the ruling of the city, how the city was ruled and how it was governed. And what they would find is a palace, and they found more than one palace. Now they found a southern palace as well as a northern palace here, and that's what you're looking at right now. Mosques were converted into churches, and churches converted into mosques as each empire conquered the other one. Then you realize that nothing has changed, that even to this very day. That's why everybody got all excited about Ground Zero when Muslims wanted to build a mosque.
Very little growing in many parts
Because they're in
fields that we
between.
pass the whole country. I'd say it's in between, except for the
No, not the whole country. But
well, obviously, many
listen, I just want to encourage anybody who's feeling that this is very hard. Once we get up here, it flattens out. Okay, let's move along here. Within his gate, and as I mentioned while we were looking at the model, there were a series of cells, and you're in one of them right now, that could have been used for a number of things. First of all, this is where your guards could stand. This is where you could defend the city. You could lower gates in between these cells to prevent any further attack. It wasn't your best shot. Solomon would do much better with these right-angle turns. You could have used these little cells as well for collecting taxes as you're entering or exiting the city. Remember, this is the only entrance from into the city during the days of the Canaanites. Now we're going out there anyway, and right up the block along the Via Maris, there's Yokneam. It's another fortress like this, not as extensive, but also was a military town. That stone is that's standing out. That was where the Kumon expedition had dug from the ark. Normally, on a clear day, we could see forever. And what you would see, and again, I'm going to have to paint this into your imagination because you really don't see anything here. This is why Megiddo. It stands overlooking a large valley, the most fertile valley, the longest valley in Israel. You've got your south and the armies of Egypt coming in from the south. I'm saying Egypt all the time only because you know that Egypt is in the south, but it could have been other armies as well. The Egyptian army is coming in from the south. From the north, you've got these different empires that have moved on to take the world, and that's what you usually did if you were an army. The stable itself looks very similar to stables that you'll find.
Try to make the circle wide as possible, wide as possible. No, not good, not good. 2 circles, one tomorrow and one today. Both today, not good. Not good for this case. Okay, hello everybody again. Welcome, etc., etc. Everything was good so far. Everything was good so far. Could be better. Let me tell you something. I just came back from what we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in the next few minutes to teach you the very basic steps of Israel forecasts. It's going to be easy, really. Just pay attention to the rules, do exactly what I'm telling you, help me out, because really, I swear, after surgery, I swear it's true, I bought a new knee. Yeah, completely new. We will see in a second. It will be the second time. Okay. First rule, holding hands and making a circle, which you already did. And the second rule, each dance starts turning clockwise. Okay? Her name is Rebecca. Because she has a tag. You don't have a tag, I don't know your name. Hannah Miriam. And in the wide world,
Just break off at the carving station.
First of all, and there is a little bit better visibility today. It's still pretty hazed out, but you can see more than you could see the last couple of days, I think. If you look to the right and follow your eyes as far as they can digest the view, you're looking at the coastal area. That's the coastal area that we're going to be driving up here. And we go up to Akko, because Akko, on a normal day, you could at least see the white buildings from the port. I mean, it's a marina like you saw in Jaffa, but not much of a port anymore. In its history, Akko went through many, many periods. Okay, let's continue on this way.
Temple of Doom.
After.
I have to, yeah. We just started. Yeah, yeah.
And I've been up here with congressmen, senators, and many doubting Thomases who've said to me, "I don't know why you guys are keeping the Golan Heights." And as soon as they stood here where you're standing, they'd look out and they go, "Oh, I get it." And it's true. I mean, you couldn't have a better strategic area to be in if you wanted to harass all these farms and villages installed above. Watch your head coming through.
And watch it, there's rocks on the
lower
floor.
Ceiling. Now,
Watch your head.
Watch your head.
Watch your head.
Watch your head. Watch your head.
And there are rocks on the floor, guys. Be careful.
I'm aware.
Steps. Go around the steps.
There are easier stairs to walk down if you want to come down here over here. All right. Let me first of all point out where the ceasefire line is between Israel and Syria. All of the fields here are
I have to sit like this there.
We're going to go into tastings first, and that room is right back there, unless you need the bathroom. It's out this door and to the right. If you don't need the bathrooms, we're going into the tasting room first, and that's that.
So after you do that, go there.
You need the bathroom.
Under our control. We have 5 winemakers. They're deciding about everything from the cultivation, where we're going to plant each and every grape, through how long it's going to be staying in which kind of wood, or even what it's going to be. For the wine that you drink, the T square. If you put it longer, you get woody wine, unbalanced wine, too much wood, not enough fruit in the glass. This is why we have to take the wine out soon or inject it at the right time. We use the barrel for 5 or 6 cycles. We change the wine between. We never put wine.
Jordan River.
I know that you're disappointed here. It's not, size doesn't count. That's it. That is not.
Right here.
Let's go now.
No, I can't go. I can't go to a tomb.
Oh, yeah, no. He's gone. He's gone. He's present.
I don't
No cemetery or tour. I don't know.
My son is a medic. He gets a phone call from in the army. He gets a phone call from his mutual. He says, "Listen, I know it's your day off, but we need you at 11 o'clock to the cemetery, but it's only for a memorial for some soldier that died years ago." Because the Sanhedrin, which had been in Jerusalem for 1,000 years, it starts moving around. And a couple of years before the destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem, it's moved. So if I'm holding up my map of Israel over here, and this is Jerusalem, then the Sanhedrin is originally going to move to Yavne.
Replace the population with populations from other parts of the world so that they break up the concentration of Jews in the city. Later on, the Assyrians would, well, let's put it this way. The Assyrians would build the city of Skytopolis. That's what all of this is, the city of Skytopolis. The mountain itself has lost its importance at this point, except for two temples, and there's also a theater up there, but the main part of the city is where we are right now, and all of what will eventually be developed until the 7th century will be that was ever built in the history of Christianity. You look behind you and you can see there's an apse here. One of the reasons that this developed was for the sound, so that when you prayed, it bounced back at you. And it became very popular in churches, later on synagogues. They had to do it by hand. So it provided a lot of employment for a lot of people here in Beit Shean as well. And we're only touring like what would be the Times Square of the city. The city itself had a population of some 65,000 people. So we're not in any way near excavating all the city. But residential areas up on Knob Hill over here, and that's what this would have been. Archaeologists have done some surface surveys and discovered that they were mansions up here, whereas in the lower part of the city, they were just the opposite. Nothing has changed, I think, in the drag of the city, and it's called the Cardo, C-A-R-D-O. Cardo, from the word cardiology, the heart. This is the heart of the city. And it always, in all Roman cities, ran north and south so that shoppers, and it was the main shopping street, wouldn't have the sun in their eyes at any given time. Amazing. And some cities, like Jerusalem, for example, had two of them, two Cardos. This city had two Cardos, and I'll show you the other one in a minute. You're welcome in.
Hi.
The earthquake in 729.
Tiberias and Jerusalem and Svat. But that was it, as far as we know. All right, around this way.
Now I can stand in the cool for a while.
Checkpoint in a little bit further south from where we are right now. Once we go through that.
Greg, I think it's the name of the restaurant. Is it waiter service?
Yes, it's all waiter service. They just grab a seat and...
Oh, good. David, you want a round table?
See in a moment that it's a pretty sophisticated checkpoint. They're more interested in coming the other direction because going into the West Bank, there's really not a whole lot of but it's all set up as if it were a border.
Camels.
Look back there. Like a trumpet. What day is it? Like what camera stuff? The big camera?
What?
Oh, now we want to ride a chance.
Anne-Marie, give somebody your ice cream.
I'll freeze. I can't freeze the frame.
Oh, shit. Hey, so what's going on? I'll take my ice Get my text.
Come on, it's a rodeo. Come on. It's a Bucky Bronco.
We did one for you, one for Barry, and one for Grandma and Grandpa and Paul and Al. Grandma Alice. Very cool.
It's the Queen of Sheba. How you doing?
Oh, I gotta go on the other. Oh my God.
She's riding off to the sunset.
Oh my God.
Good, take the flies with you too.
Followed your children to Israel. Some of you are coming to Jerusalem and thinking about how your parents could have or would have dreamed of this moment. That's what I do anyway, because my folks never got here. Certainly my grandparents never even dreamed that there'd ever come a time when you could get on a plane and 12 hours later be landing in Israel and coming up to you to the holy city. There's probably no people, I think, in the world that have had a love affair with the city like we've had with this city. Think about all the poems and all of the prayers. How many times that we've said, L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. You're going to be able to say, not only this year, but within the next few moments in Jerusalem. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand fail me. Let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. Another prayer and another blessing of the city that has inspired us from the time that David conquered the city in 1000 BCE and not only made it the capital of ancient Israel, but the capital of the spiritual Jewish soul throughout history. There was a wonderful song that was written right before the 1967 Six Days War. It was called Jerusalem of Gold, and it was written by Naomi Shemek. And in the song, she compares how Jerusalem is like a city that is golden, that shines from a spiritual point of view. And in the song, unfortunately, when she was writing the song, this road that we're on right now and access to Jerusalem, especially to East Jerusalem, where all the holy sites were and are, were inaccessible because they were in the hands of the Jordanians. And quite honestly, for the last 2,000 years, most of the time, we were never able to get to the holy sites. And there wasn't a dry eye, I think, in all of the Jewish world when that song was presented at the Israel Song Festival. And sad as it was, Jerusalem was not a united city. Who would have ever believed that only a couple of weeks later, the Six-Day War would break out, and as a result, we would now have access to Eastern Jerusalem and to our holy sites. So she added a stanza. Now we can get to East Jerusalem. Now we can get to the ancient cisterns. We can hear the bells of the churches, and we can hear the praying at the Western Wall. I'm going to play that for you, or Yossi's going to play that for you, as we make our way to Mount Scopus and to where we're going to be.
Made it to Jerusalem. Now, understand, when we come to anything for the first time, and anything on that calendar year, and for most of you, by the way, this is your first time ever, it's a very special Shachianu. And this Shachianu that we're going to be sharing together, first of all, it's which means when you come here, it's not like going anywhere else. Understand? When the English get off in London airport, they don't get excited, they go home. When the Dutch arrive in Amsterdam, what happens? They say hello and they get in the cab and they go home. You never see a Frenchman in France kissing the ground. Not even the French. Why not? Because it doesn't mean that much. But for 2,000 years we were denied this. And here we are, a very privileged generation. Understand, Jerusalem was only reunited in 1967. You all remember these dates. They're etched indelibly in your memory. We are a very, very privileged generation. And therefore, when you stand up today, looking over this amazing site, and say your Shechianu, you are including in it all of those generations past who didn't give up, who held on, in spite of the difficulties of getting kosher food and sending you to school, and however much it cost, it didn't matter. What the rabbis say, it doesn't matter where you are physically, your heart is here.
There's a rat truck in there.
Okay, take your seats. Well, that's time for pictures there. I'm pretty loud, but whatever you have to say after. And I made Aliyah 20 years ago. I was national vice president of Hadassah, and instead of becoming the national president, I said, look at all those speeches I gave all my life. What am I doing there? And I'm loud, rude, aggressive, politically correct, all those things. I fit in much better here, and I'm originally a Jersey girl.
Jersey.
I was there as the president of the region, so, and I can only say that being here and living here fulfills everything I ever wanted. Rachel Ray, we have olive presses we find 3,000 years old. All right, he has the best olives. If you have the best olives, what do you have? Who will want that oil? The menorah is your clue. The temple in Jerusalem. Only Mark Chagall could understand that. And of course, he's whimsical, as I said, with everything else, the birds and everything else he has. Okay, then look on this side, above me. On the left, you have Naphtali. You see Naphtali, the yellow, the gazelle, the deer. You see it? Be careful here. Yes. All right? All right, he's known for swimming. Why are they holding the shofar? What's the shofar supposed to do for us? Wake us up. Mark Chagall said the world was deaf and silent. Lest the challenge be for all of us. Now, Joseph does not become a tribe. It's given to his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. When you bless daughters, if you ever have that opportunity, if you've never done it, do it, granddaughters, and you say to a daughter or a granddaughter, it's not just a job for a rabbi or a cantor, it's for us as parents, grandparents, to also do it with our children. We say, may God make you as the matriarch. Sarah, Rachel.
You've come home.
Are you coming home?
You've come home.
Okay, Hannah. Huh? Did you make all of it?
Okay. Now that we're here, we're standing right now in the plaza overlooking the grave of Theodore Herzl. Day of mourning. And then at 11 o'clock in the morning, a siren is blasted throughout the country again. Even if you're driving your car and it's the hour or the moment of the sirens, you stop your car wherever you are. You get out of the car, you stand at attention, and you hear that shrill, it just runs through you. And believe me, everybody in this country has somebody to think about when we memorialize our soldiers, our children.
הרעיון לשים אבנים, אתם יודעים איפה הוא הגיע? לא, ממש לא. האמת שהרעיון נלקח ליהודים מכמה טעמים. קודם כל הסיבה הראשונה.
They and their wives are permitted to be buried here as well. Far side over here, you've got Yitzhak Shamir, who was Prime Minister of Israel during the 80s. Right here, you've got Shimon Peres, who died more recently. And I think everybody is aware that Peres not only was Prime Minister, but he was also President of Israel. Presidents, by the way, are figurehead positions in the country. Their role is much more to balance all of the population, not just one political party or another political party, but are supposed to be beyond politics. For example, in the early days of Israel, Albert Einstein was asked to be president of Israel. He declined only because he didn't feel that he was really capable of doing the job. So that kind of caliber of individual is what we're looking for to be our president.
Every woman he saw in the way, and bad judgment, and stealing our children.
And I don't know anyone who never heard about Golda Meir. This is Golda. It's interesting that they left the spot for Golda's husband, who died many years ago, and left her right at the very start of the national military cemetery. However, throughout the country, there are other military cemeteries, and there are military sections in many of the civilian cemeteries.
It is kosher.
please take off any sunglasses so that you'll be able to. And if you are light sensitive here, don't worry. If you reach out to the right and hold on to the rail, there is no obstacle in your way except the guy who's walking in front of you, okay? Follow me.
Single file.
Green Gold, 11 years old, France. Marian Budkowski, בת שנה, Ukraine. Chaya Shafransky, 13 years old, Ukraine. Bazia Lerman, 14 years old, Ukraine. Sonia Reutman, 15 years old, Ukraine. Hanna Reutman, 17 years old, Ukraine. Ginette Alma, 6 years old, France.
The pit.
What I find in Beit Shean in terms of museum is that because it was created by those who had the Holocaust perpetrated against them, it becomes more personalized. You're invited within the family, and you feel like that as you go through
At the end of Yad Vashem Museum.
You know what, that must set it off.
Green bus goes
Green bus, come on up here. Your guide is waiting for you over here.
Let me get my quick. All right. Stop waving. Keep behind the phone.
Now, David, you know, people that want to kneel down in the front, you can do it at the front. Okay, not now. Okay, the rest is stay in the back.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get
these pictures on the last day. We've got about 10 minutes before we're going to be going into the Western Wall tunnel. Clearly, somebody was praying at the wall from very far.
God knows what you wrote before you wrote it, right?
I wonder if there is as we move towards the north, we're moving closer and closer along the western wall to the position where just above on the platform would have been the temple. So in answer to your question, we can put our notes here. If you find a place in the western wall here, you're even closer to where the temple once stood than you are when you're standing in the plaza, which is to the right of everybody, or to the left of me.
The line?
It's the end of the road, the end of the line, the end of the turn there. Before we do, I want you, first of all, to look down on the pavement you're standing. You're standing in the same place that Hillel is. You're standing in the same place that Hillel is standing right now. You're standing in the same place that Jesus stood. You're on the pavement that Rabbi Akiva walked along. This is it, folks. This is the real emes. This is the street that ran along the Western Wall. The old city wall down on it. Of course, after 1967, that became prime real estate. Inspect and make sure that the person who's coming through was real residential Jewish quarter and not a Haganah soldier. They found many Haganah soldiers and put them into prison. Even as the old were sent out of the Zion Gate.
Yeah, where's the rain?
Don't worry.
You know why there's no rain?
Ask me that in a
Your
couple
prayers were
hours.
answered. You know why there's no rain?
All those who have come today to celebrate their bat and bar mitzvah.
Amen.
Here in Israel, in the holy city of Jerusalem, may He grant you good health.
Amen.
Return home to your family and synagogues and friends, and to tell the wonderful experience you had with Margaret Morse.
Amen.
May you be granted health so that you can come back and celebrate again and again in this holy and spectacular and very special place.
Amen.
Remember what a great honor for us to be alive, able to appreciate the restored, sovereign land of Israel.
Amen.
Amen.
So Concentrate on this site. Just look in front of you down to the and I want you to see the big road down the road.
It's not Shabbos yet, technically.
Actually, at this point it is.
No, it's not.
5:40 something.
Yeah, that's when the candlelight is. I mean, I wouldn't be obvious. I wouldn't make it so obvious like that. It's hard to believe there's actually space, right? I mean, you would think that the potential is that there's like not even an inch of room here.
A maior parte da explicação eu quero gravar, porque eu só gravo as coisas ouvindo. Aí vocês caem na risada. É, né?
below. See, that's the walking path. Well, they're walking on it. See.
Voltando. Não, essa moça aqui. Ah.
That's okay. Hang on to the strap.
Olha o sortudo a pé, meu Deus. Ai, disse que é de pegar pedrinha. Vai lá perto pra você pegar uma pedrinha. Haja perna, né? Aí a gente ia pegar uma pedra.
Se eu soubesse que tinha, eu tinha subido ali.
Ah, ele deve ser emocionante. Ah, eu te vi. Se eu soubesse que tinha. Olha, gente, eu prefiro a camisinha. Ah, tá bem.
Gente, olha a estrutura.
Agora dá uma voltinha aqui perto. Sabe como tá vendo? Essa hora, o negócio aí pega. Aí eu vou isso que ele vem
Those have a wing.
And what about when you're on the ones that are open?
Yeah.
You could die.
And he says, before you try me as a traitor, think of what I've contributed. Maybe I'm even a hero. And the fact is that maybe he was a hero. So character number one of